Hey guys, today I'll be giving my take on this book, Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. It's so you have to read it. It's just it'll expand your mind beyond limits if you're open to it. Just he shines a whole new light on the healthcare system, science, spirituality, well-being, all of that. It's astonishing. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Okay, I know the audio isn't top tier. I don't have a camera yet. I'm just using my phone, so sorry about the background noises and stuff. In today's world, and for a while, it is hard to believe, for most people at least, that we can create our own realities, heal ourselves from diseases, essentially free ourselves, create our destinies. All of that just seems like fantasy talk, right? But what if we were given a scientific blueprint on how to navigate that life for ourselves? Well, we were given one thanks to this angel of a man, Joe Dispenza. Okay, one of the first things he says, and the most crucial part, I believe, is to create a new reality and in turn change your destiny, you have to get beyond who you think you are. And that took me a moment to really get. Once I understood it, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And here's some verbatim. After all, if you don't get beyond who you think you are and the way you've been conditioned to believe the world works, it's not possible to create a new life or a new destiny. So in another sense, you gotta get out of your own way. Transcend the memory of yourself as an identity and allow something greater than you, something mystical, to take over. So a truly enriched experience will change you, and it'll almost be impossible for you to go back to your other old dimension of being. You're in a new one, an elevated, a heightened one. So it's essentially you're not going to shrink yourself to fit in a place you've outgrown, pretty much. And this book gives you the blueprints and the tools to create that type of experience for yourself, to expand and change. Because living a life without change means you're constantly going to replay cycles of the past, and it's like the snake eating its tail, giving itself a slow, painful death. Or you can, like this Kundalini snake right here, ascend and be enlightened. And I love how this is a healthcare symbol too. They're hiding it in plain sight. When you pay attention to knowledge or information and it makes sense to you, this interaction with the environment leaves biological impressions in your brain. When you experience something new, your senses write the story neurologically in your brain, and even more neurons come together to make even more enriched connections, upgrading your brain even further. I mean, that's kind of common sense. You learn something, you grow. So the more you maintain those connections with that thought, that experience, that forms a memory, and the more profound the emotion is going to affect it even further. So our thoughts produce feelings, and then we also get feelings from those thoughts. Cycle repeats. In turn, that affects our behavior, and then that's how we create situations for ourselves. So if your thoughts stay the same, right, if you're not learning, because when you learn, you get new thoughts, new ideas. But if you are stuck in the ways you know how to survive and how to protect yourself, you're going to produce the same emotions, and then eventually the same experiences just repeating in your life. And it can be in, patterns too. It can be from how you maintain your addiction to resentment with your boss, and then it can be with your ex, and then someone that's literally maybe physically not in your life anymore, but since you give them mental energy and emotional energy, they very much do exist in your reality. And he explains in the book how our bodies become chemically addicted to stress hormones or these very profound emotional feelings. Our body needs that fix. It doesn't need it, but it thinks it does. Again, it's in that mode of survival, always doing what it's used to, what it's always had. It's literally addicted to that chemical. So it's hard, putting your old ways down and picking up. It's like a drug addict putting down drugs. You're gonna experience withdrawals. You're gonna have the moodiness, irritability, all that. So yeah, it's something. So one may look like they have it all together externally, and you can even change your reality, right, externally, but your inner state's always going to believe its internal chemistry as its reality more so than its external environment. And he hosted a scientific experiment with people performing different meditations, like most specifically visualization meditations, and how it changed the current, like they did brain scans before and after, and how the waves in their brain and their functions shifted drastically. So this experiment was a elbow contracting exercise, except they weren't doing it physically. They were told to visualize themselves doing it. So they were told to visualize themselves contracting their elbow flexor muscles. The first group, so they're split into 3 groups. The first one was told to visualize themselves doing it in the first person. The second group was told to visualize themselves doing it in the third person, and then the last one was given no instruction. The group using external imagery, as well as in the control group, so the one that was not given any instruction, showed no significant change, but the group using internal imagery showed a 10.8% increase in strength. Without actually moving a muscle, they just visualized themselves doing it, but yet they increased in strength physically. And this is a actual experiment that happened. It's crazy, but that just shows you how, I guess, profound visualization is, and only doing it through the first person perspective. So like not watching your body doing it. It's like you in your first person from your soul are fueling this energy in your mind and exhibiting it in physical reality as well. Another team of researchers from Ohio University performed another experiment using the same technique. So they put a group of 29 people in casts, ensuring that they could not move that casted muscle, even unintentionally. They couldn't move it for a month. So half of this group was instructed to visualize themselves moving these immobilized muscles mentally for 11 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 1 month. And at the end of the month, when the casts were removed, the group that practiced the imagery, their muscles increased twice in strength, while the one that didn't perform the visualization exercise, no increase in strength. Both of these studies show how mental rehearsal not only changes the brain, but can also change the body by thought alone. Another example of this mind power proving to be true, first-handedly in Joe Dispenza's life, he was able to visualize himself getting better after having an injury produced from a car accident. He visualized himself getting better, and he did. And we were always told how powerful the mind is, but no one's ever gone in depth the way he has as to show what those powers can do for us. So he tells us to work with our thoughts first, so thinking greater than we feel in order to make lasting changes. When you repetitively focus your attention on thoughts that then produce feelings and do this consistently, your mind and your body is not going to be able to tell the difference of realities from what is happening internally and externally. Remember, it's like a mirage. You see things the way you are. What you put your attention on and mentally rehearse over and over again not only becomes who you are from a biological perspective, it also determines your future. And with this practice, we are also capable of making genetic changes. So most commonly, we're told by our doctors that if our family carries genes, for example, like heart disease or diabetes, that we are likely to develop those things as well. But more extensive studies on epigenetics show that the gene itself doesn't create the disease. It's actually the environment of the gene that programs the gene to then create a disease. And let me explain what this means. So within our internal biological environment, being our cells, there's also this slight external environment to that internal environment, so like our cell membrane, and chemical feedback from our emotions are being sent to those membranes. And this is where our genes reside within the cells. So depending on our emotions, that produces a certain internal chemistry, which is then sent as a signal to the gene to either upregulate, so increasing the expression of the gene, or downregulate it, decreasing the expression of the gene. So essentially, through these expressions, you are either turning on or turning off this gene. Thus, even though someone may have a genetic predisposition for a particular disease, for example, if their genes continue to express health instead of expressing that disease, they won't develop the condition and will remain healthy. And this is why emotions are so important, like the way you express your emotions, the way you feel your emotions, because they become literal chemistry within our body, and then that chemistry affects our biology. So handling your emotions in a healthy manner is very crucial. Because if you're constantly exhibiting emotions that produce stress hormones, and then those are what are constantly being signaled to these cell membranes that carry these genes, yes, you are more inclined to, say for instance, you have a genetic gene of heart disease. If you're always sending these stressful hormones to it, you're more likely going to get it. But if you show a decrease of that, so like a healthier lifestyle, by starting by handling your emotions healthier, you are eventually that cell is going to be uprooted and then replaced by newer, stronger cells. So you can literally change your genetic lineage and pass on, healthier genes to your future family. So having a genetic predisposition does not set the course of your future health, you do. So if you're stuck in a toxic cycle of emotions and you are constantly signaling this information to your genes, eventually what's going to happen is those cells, those genes that are being held within those cells are going to become damaged, and the expression of health is going to downregulate severely. So pretty much if there is no change in the signals, aka your chemical feedback, your emotions, then your cells are just going to be burnt out. But if you are doing new things and learning new informations, you activate what is called experience-dependent genes. So these genes are responsible for the stem cells getting the instructions to differentiate and transform into whatever type of cells the body needs at the moment and replacing the damaged cells. This is why I heavily promote meditation, because it's just the perfect opportunity to expand the neuroplasticity and create more neural pathways in your mind, helping you learn and just get new information so you're not sending the same, signals to your cells and then experiencing the same cycles of experiences with no growth. But yes, meditation is just like the perfect opportunity to expand your mind and learn a little bit. And then there are behavioral state dependent genes. These genes are activated when we are in high levels of stress or arousal. So when you change your emotions, you can change the expression of your genes, turning some on and others off, because you are sending a new chemical signal to your DNA, which can then instruct your genes to make different proteins, upregulating or downregulating, to make all kinds of new building blocks that can change the structure and function of your body. So you can turn on the genes responsible for growth and repair and turn off the genes responsible for diseases, and it is all with the influence of your mind, and it is scientifically proven. How awesome is that? When you place all your attention and energy on the outer world and you keep reacting to the same conditions in the same way, in a state of chronic stress, which causes the brain to be in a constant state of arousal, your inner world becomes imbalanced and your brain begins to work inefficiently, and then you become less effective in creating anything at all. And this constant state of arousal is also known as survival mode, and it is very hard to create a new life for yourself in this constant state of survival. And in survival mode, we become materialists, so our attention is drawn to matter. And back in the day when we were evolving, this was very essential in our nature, because we had to fight, run, or hide to defend ourselves from danger. But in this case, that mode just stays on the whole time, and those hormones aren't burnt off by either fighting or running from the real danger, because there is no real danger. There's no predator in the sense attacking us. It is just the thoughts we create. Example, like an ex-lover that you still resent brings on that state of heightened stress, or someone we resent bringing these strong emotions. Maybe it's jealousy, and we are thrown into survival mode because we feel threatened. And when this imbalance is maintained for a long term, we are headed for disease. So when your brain becomes compartmentalized, when all of your attention, your thoughts, and your energy, your feelings are attached to the outside world, your brain begins to work incoherent and inefficient, and This is actually how a lot of chemical imbalances in the brain are formed. And I'm not saying this is the root cause of all mental illnesses. Obviously, that's not true, but for the most part, these things create and enable a lot of mental illnesses. And it's just crazy to me that, we hold the power to prevent mental illnesses, and if we are struggling with mental illnesses within ourselves, we can work to heal ourselves by cutting off these energetic ties to the external world and giving ourselves more attention internally. And just blows me away, and I could just go on the whole night talking about this book, but I have more to read, and I'll probably share some more too. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Yeah, it's just a lot. It's just I'm excited to see where this takes this generation, because we need a cleanup. Not just a cleanup, but like healing, and just like shown a new way out, because I feel like a lot of us have been oppressed for so long, and we deserve to be liberated in a way that we never have before. But yeah, that's it for today. Namaste.